Anybody to call Islam the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world when John Jones is still fighting? Yeah, well, it's not like he's sitting around and doesn't want to fight. John Jones has never lost a fight, ever. I'm not defending John Jones. Pound-for-pound rankings really mean.
He really thinks about fighting.
But two guys he doesn't go that far
because
John Jones is the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world and the greatest fighter fucking ever.
You know, that video you just saw, I made a little short yesterday, and I thought it was kind of funny, you know, just to kind of have a compilation of all the John Jones glaze, and it did pretty well, you know, I'm pretty happy with it. That was just supposed to be an intro for this video, but regardless, it's the next day. And so I kind of just wanted to get into this whole John Jones versus Stipe situation and Dana White. The thing is, I've always been kind of on the fence, middle ground about John Jones. I have never been a hater. I've never been a glazer. But like this whole new fighting promotion by Dana White called the UGC, the Ultimate Glazing Championship, it made me start thinking about this whole situation a little bit differently from a more of a hater perspective per se. And I honestly don't mind Dana glazing fighters. If anything, it's good when he glazes fighters, especially when they're upcoming, new talent, they're dominating, they're going through their division, they're going up a division, they're dominating. But when, you know, we have dominant performances like by Islam Makhachev on 302 against Dustin Poirier, and when the reporters ask Dana White, hey, what do you think of Islam being in the pound-for-pound ranking? He doesn't even answer well at all. He straight up starts talking about John Jones. Also, recently, when Alex Pereira fought, same thing happened. They're like, hey, what do you think about Alex maybe moving up to the second position in the pound-for-pound ranking? He starts talking about John Jones. Also, he's been going around the whole world to every podcast possible and just straight up glazing John Jones. If he was doing that for other fighters, I would have no problem. If he was taking turns, hey, this podcast I glazed this fighter, this podcast I glazed the other fighter. This fighter is fighting in 2 UFC fights or the next UFC fight, I'm going to glaze him. Or he just had an amazing performance, I'm going to glaze him. But no, he's glazing a person who's only fought once in the past 4 years. He's glazing a person who has been a bad rep for UFC. He's glazing a person that's fighting another person that hasn't fought in 3 years, since 2021. How do you expect to build up stars in the UFC that bring in views, that bring in pay-per-views, that get you paid and your whole team paid when you don't promote anything? Your promotions lately are terrible. You just have some interviews. You have your Nina drama interviews. You have your pre-fight documentaries. I don't even remember what the name of them are because I don't really care. But yeah, like, how do you expect fighters to become the superstars that, you know, nobody's ever going to be on the Conor McGregor level, obviously, but how do you expect them to get up there without promoting them? Do you expect your fighters to promote themselves and bring their own fan base? I'm assuming you do. Honestly, I do assume that Dana White prefers all the fighters to build up their own fan base and bring it to the UFC. But that's not how it works, man. Yes, that's a portion of it, but that's not how it works. UFC is a promotion company. That's how it was funded. That's how it was started. So you guys have to promote, and the promotion hasn't been doing so good lately. And so when you're not promoting anybody or the promotion is kind of lackluster, and then you're all of a sudden start shoving down people's throats that John Jones is the greatest of all time, which he is. He is a GOAT. But John Jones is pound for pound number one. That's when people start getting tired of it. The more that Dana talks about John Jones being a pound for pound number one, the more people start disliking Dana, first of all, and second of all, not even looking forward to the John Jones versus Stipe fight. And personally, for me, I used to like watching Dana White post-fight interviews because he'd say some out-of-pocket stuff. He'd sometimes put reporters back in their place. He had some funny moments there and there. But now it's just the same thing for the past few months. It's just copy and paste. I mean, also, let's not get into the reporter side of the UFC because, I mean, it's terrible. I think the best reporters that have gotten the past, 6 months have been the people who have interviewed Izzy versus Dricus. And still, there was pretty mellow. Either way, that's another topic for another day. let's take a look here. When was the last Stipe fight? March 2021. It is currently June of 2024. Let's look at John. When was the last time he fought? March 2023. And before that, 2020. Just to put it in perspective, that is when COVID started, pandemic. That is before Alex Pereira joined. That's a long time ago, man. And how can you hype this guy up as a pound for pound number one? Pound for pound number one is a person who's active and who's dominating. This guy is the GOAT of all GOATs, for sure. You can say that all you want, but you cannot be saying pound for pound number one. And I'm so glad that Dana White is not in charge of these rankings because, brother, John Jones would retire. He'd be like 10 years into retirement, and Dana White would still be saying, yeah, pound for pound, number one, John Jones. And you'd have some other killers in there, but hey, no, John Jones, man. John Jones needs to have something on Dana, or something has to be going on, something funky. I don't know, dude, but John Jones has a great opportunity right now to come back and fight Tom Aspinall. If he wins, he is the GOAT. He is the pound for pound. And if he loses, a new dog is in town, Tom Aspinall. Everybody wants to see that fight. That fight's going to sell way more pay-per-views than a John Jones versus Stipe. My theory is, honestly, that John Jones is planning to retire after the Stipe fight. I don't think he's going to continue fighting. I think the reason they are promoting is because, they want to make him and the promotion as much money as they can. And then, he beats Stipe and he retires and he's undisputed. He's undefeated. He has no losses. He's him and he just sails away into the sunset. I think, honestly, that's the only logical reason with the whole Stipe fight. If he's planning to stay in the UFC for like a few more years, why not just fight Tom Aspinall, man? Either way, this situation has gotten me a little frustrated. The whole ducking and the whole glazing and just overall everything about the situation is kind of annoying. And still, even on the video that I uploaded yesterday, a lot of people do understand why Dana White is glazing, but there are some delusional ones out there. Like, no, he's just stating the obvious. Somebody has to have been saying that. Finally, somebody's protecting their dog. Either way, yeah, I just kind of want to get on here and rant a little bit about this, because Dana White, do better, man. Glaze other fighters, my guy, please. Post it on your Instagram. Go to podcast and glaze people. You're good at it. Honestly, I didn't know you were that good at glazing until this whole situation with John Jones started. You could be a great promoter, as long as you promote other fighters and not just some washed up person who's fought only once in the past 4 years. He is the GOAT, but he is not the pound for pound. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will rant and talk to you all later. Deuces.